till I reach the top somehow.
Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, time is past due for me to say a very pleasant night to you, or should I say greetings to the entire world, because we are on the World Wide Web. At this time is when we reach you and communicate with you throughout the Kittitian division and the Caribbean diaspora. I know that some of you are in Africa. There's some of you in Europe. There's some of you in Asia. And yes, there are a whole lot of you all over North America. And for those of you in St. Kitts and Nevis, and throughout the entire Caribbean region, I say good night. For those in the diaspora, I can say good night. I can also say good morning, and I am at liberty as well to say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And if you are a first-timer, I welcome you gladly. And I trust and hope it would not be your last time. And for those who continue to share the link, we say thank you. And please continue to do so. And for the first-timers, just to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underlined free, expression on all issues of national, regional, and international interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely, underline freely. On this program, we also try to raise the level of international, regional, and of course, national interests. We also try to raise the level of national, regional, international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligation. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with the opportunity to to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I will hasten to pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, as I'm always reminded of the words of a favorite hymn of mine. An excerpt goes something like this: we are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing all those evil things to light. Let us seek the courage needed our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. Having said that, my Straight Dog family, and especially for the first timers, I can assure you that absolutely nothing is watered down in this program to make it more interesting, neither by omission or exaggeration. Straight Talk is not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy, because we lean on the facts, as it's my bounden duty to present what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth about governance, transparency, accountability, and it all goes on, whether in St. Kitts and Nevis or wherever you are in the universe, because this program joins us together with people across our federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora around the world. Some we know and know very well. Others we have met. Others we do not know, and many we will never meet. Some will disagree, some will agree with the positions of truth that are advanced and straight up. But that's fine, because we are a different people and we entertain a diversity of views, I call it. But please do not sadden me, my Straight Dog family, and start to become disagreeable. In the meanwhile, let's thank Almighty God for helping us to understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us therefore hope and pray for that day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks for those who share the link, as mentioned earlier. Since you bring first timers, please continue to do so. I'm having a little tardy start, and it's imperative that I humbly apologize. A little bit late, but we'll give you back your time once you desire it. I always must remind you, and in particular the first timers, that Straight Talk is a participative program. And by that I mean we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. There's some of you who like what I call the cloak of anonymity. You don't want to be heard. So we give you access by our email platform, and that address is also on your screens. And we heard live on Alexa, those who have that access to Alexa, and you know, very simple. Just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio, and you're viewing us live. And my Straight Dog family, we thank those who contribute. A few who contribute, we thank you for small mercies. And for those who wish to communicate, or to contribute, I should say, the access is on your monitors. Just scan that code on your screen to access the form. Very highly confidential. So thank you again, my Straight Dog family, for keeping the dialogue alive. We must say a special welcome for those who are with us all the time. You know by now, I must hail the Junior Brigade, or I will never hear the end of it. So let me hail Jasmine, Young Dwayne, Tristan, Shema, Kevin, Rue, Jamal, Travis, Travon, Neema, my grandson, and Soraya, his good friend. And of course, Elizabeth. I will never forget that special lady in St. Louis. Carla in Sandy Point. For the young ones who want me to hail them, get your parental consent. But we always start with our observations and review. That's when we do some reflection, we ask a few questions, we advance a view issues, and after our observation and review, we move to our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Unfolding Geopolitical Drama, Man of War in St. Kitts Harbour. And our first observation relates to information that has come to hand in relation to a claim that's been filed with the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. And you can glean from your monitors, my Straight Talk family, that this claim for application for a judicial review for administrative orders and other relief. And it's between the Intercoastal Finance Limited and the regulator of international business, the Minister of Finance in Nevis, who is Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, also the Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin. First defendant, the regulator of international business over there in Nevis. The second defendant, the Minister of Finance, cited here, who is also the Premier of Nevis. And the third defendant, the Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis, Garth Lucifer Wilkin. And we also got copy of a communication by Straight Talk family that was sent to a board member, an enterprise risk officer, one Howard Anthony Lewis. And it relates to a regulatory request seeking instructions and permission to remit account closure balances of bank closed customer accounts and Straight Talk family. And that letter as well is self-explanatory. And my Straight Talk family, this whole claim relates to the Hamilton Reserve Bank, my Straight Talk family. I'll repost that claim. The application for judicial review relates to the Hamilton Reserve Bank in Nevis, an offshore bank that apparently invested in Sri Lanka. Yes, all the way in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka government bonds, to be exact, between 2021 and 2022. And we gather that the amount invested was some US $243 million. That's a lot of money, don't you think? And my Straight Talk family, the claimant, we understand, wired US $50 million sometime in 2021, 2022, in that period. And when the claimant, Intercoastal, attempted to withdraw some 28 million US dollars from the original deposit of 50 million US dollars. We are told that that request or that withdrawal was declined by the Hamilton Reserve Bank. And after waiting for what seemed to be in vain on the Nevis Island administration to act in its capacity as regulator, the claimant had no alternative but to approach the court for remedy and in the quest of justice. Straight Talk has received, as I said, communication which I just posted, which is self-explanatory. But more important, my Straight Talk family, it's addressed, like I said, to one Howard Lewis, as you can glean from your screens, who it is reliably rumored is the husband of Helen Lewis, who serves as the legal advisor to the Nevis Island administration. And this is a senior position, my Straight Talk family, within the government of Nevis, responsible for overseeing legal matters affecting the NIA. And in this role, Mrs. Lewis provides legal advice to the government of Nevis, the administration of Nevis, including guidance on legislation, civil litigation, contracts, government policy, and other legal issues. As legal advisor, the husband of Mr. Lewis, who I said is addressed here as a board member and enterprise risk officer for Hamilton Reserve, and as legal advisor, she is also considered a member of the NIA cabinet and participates in high-level government discussions and decision-making alongside ministers and other senior officials. And Ms. Lewis, from our research, is a highly experienced lawyer serving as the principal legal counsel to Mark Brantley and his cabinet, his government. She helps to shape legal policy and provides expert legal support at the highest levels of the NIA. At one stage, the wife of the Premier, Sharon Mama Brantley, we have confirmed, also served as a director of the Hamilton Reserve Bank. But what seems to be common in Nevis, my Straight Talk family, are situations where closely related people, where family members are appointed to positions of potential conflict of interest. We told you so many times about the land deals with Destiny. We haven't touched Destiny for some programs. We haven't forgotten it, be assured. But these potential conflict situations, conflict of interest situations, are illegal in most countries and widely considered taboo. But Straight Talk is, however, following this story and will keep you posted. My second observation, my Straight Talk family, relates to a commentary from GADA related to the Frigate Bay Development Corporation Gulf Coast, and in which GADA supports or applauds terrorist Michael Drew for what Straight Talk calls a barter arrangement with the St. Kitts Marriott Hotel on some 77.23 acres of land in Frigate Bay. I will refuse to air Gadda's commentary on Straight Talk until he explains why he signed a contract. He signed a contract for La Valley Greens, my Straight Talk family, a golf course which just disappeared. And that contract, I hasten to add, was illegal. But we ask, Gadda, where is the golf course and where is the $50 million that was purportedly expended on this golf course? And I say legal, and I'm not afraid to repeat that, my Straight Talk family, because Gadda signed on behalf of the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. But how could he? You ask yourselves. Because if you glance at the development or the first schedule of the Frigate Bay Development Act, the first schedule appended to the Frigate Bay Development Act. And yes, he recalls very well that this act was established in 1973, as you can glean from your monitors, and was amended several times. But the people told me not to accept. Remember, Gadda made this statement, and the people continue to tell me not to accept this "I don't remember" answer from Gadda, or "I don't
Apparently,
remember" as an answer.
He wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. Well, it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
You heard the answer, my Straight Talk family. I'll repeat it for you. This is what Gadda said. And we're asking, where is the money and where is the golf course?
Apparently, he wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. Well, it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
But he just don't remember, he said. He remembered things from 1973 and before, but he can't remember something from 2003. But those are my observations for tonight, my Straight Talk family. And I will move right into my thesis, which, as I intimated earlier, I have titled Unfolding Geopolitical Drama, Man of War in St. Kitts Harbour. Kittitians woke up on Sunday morning to see a man of war securely berthed alongside one of the two cruise ship piers at Port Zante, which, as a matter of fact, is still berthed there, my Straight Talk family. But we woke up to this on Sunday morning. And I use the term man of war, fully cognizant of the fact that between the 16th and the 19th centuries, a powerful armed naval sailing ship was referred to as a man of war. And growing up as a young boy, that's what our elders called them, man of war, to be more colloquial. However, I am using the historical term 2 centuries hereafter to mean a vessel built for warfare. And it's just because I like the ringtone, I like the sound of man of war, although I am aware of the fact that vessels designed and equipped for combat are now called warships. And there are modern types of these warships, such as the aircraft carriers, which is a large ship that carries and launches military aircraft, the destroyer, the frigate, the submarine, just to name a few. And in an editorial from the Voice of East, Andrew Caribco wrote that, and I quote, "The grand strategic goal is to restore the US's central role in the global system. But if that's not possible, and it loses control of the Eastern Hemisphere to China, then Plan B is to retreat to the Western Hemisphere." And Trump 2.0 release, my Straight Talk family, release his national security strategy. I think it was in November of last year, to be exact. Trump released his national security strategy. And my Straight Talk family, the new NSS reconceptualizes, narrows, and prioritizes U.S. interests. According my Straight Talk family to Caribco, focus is placed on the primacy of nations over transnational organizations, preserving the balance of power through optimized burden sharing, and the US's reindustrialization that will be facilitated by securing critical supply chains. The Western Hemisphere, which includes North, South, Central, and Central America, and the Caribbean islands, is the top priority for the United States. The Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine is the centerpiece to the U.S. national security strategy, and seeks to deny what it calls non-hemispheric competitor ownership or control of strategically vital assets, in an allusion to China's influence over the Panama Canal, for example. It is a 21st century update of the Monroe Doctrine that places the Western Hemisphere at the center of U.S. strategy, especially toward preventing external powers from gaining influence. The NSS envisages enlisting regional champions and friendly forces to help to ensure regional stability for preventing migrant issues, fight the cartels, and erode the aforesaid competitors' influence. That's the influence of China. This aligns with the Fortress America strategy of restoring U.S. hegemony in the hemisphere. Asia is next on the NSS hierarchy of priorities. As for Europe, the U.S. will manage European relations with Russia and build up the healthy nations of Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe. West Asia and Africa are at the bottom of the national securities strategies, priorities. The United States foresees the first becoming a greater source of investment and destination of such, while the second's ties with the U.S. will transition from a foreign aid paradigm to an investment and growth one centered on selected partners. The U.S. has significantly ramped up its military posture in the region, and we must be aware of that by now, under its 25-26 National Security Strategy, prioritizing the Western Hemisphere over other theaters. And this includes explicit efforts to deny influence to extra-hemispheric competitors like China and to address what the U.S. frames as narco-terrorism. There is an ongoing U.S. counter-narcotics and security campaign which has involved strikes on suspected drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific, resulting in dozens of deaths and stirring diplomatic concern among regional governments and human rights groups. Venezuela has been at the center of major geopolitical drama. After years of sanctions and political standoff, the U.S. forces, we know, conducted operations leading to the capture of President Nicolas Maduro on the 3rd of January 2026. He is now in U.S. custody, facing charges that were read to him.
Surgical law enforcement operation facilitated by the U.S. military against two indicted fugitives of American justice, narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores. Colleagues, Nicolas Maduro is responsible for attacks on the people of the United States, for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere, and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades. The United States arrested a narco trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years. A similar action was taken in 1989 against Manuel Noriega. He was arrested, indicted, convicted in a court of law, served in prison in the United States and in Panama, and the Panamanian people, the American people, are safer for it. And undeniably, the region was more stable. This law enforcement action was directed consistent with the President of the United States' responsibility as Commander-in-Chief to protect Americans at home and abroad against a fugitive who is directly responsible for narcoterrorism that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans and created destabilizing violence throughout our hemisphere. Nicolas Maduro and his co-defendant, Celia Flores, have been transferred here to the United States to stand trial for their crimes. Maduro was indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York.
And my Straight Talk family, before that, you will recall the U.S. strikes that began off Venezuela in September last year, 2025, that have killed, it is alleged, at least 145 persons and rankled or offended some officials in the Caribbean, where many of the strikes have occurred. Just over a week ago, the U.S. bombed 3 boats, 2 in the Pacific and 1 in the Caribbean, and this it confirmed.
strikes are part of those broader strikes that we've been seeing since September 2025, where the Trump administration goes after what they call narco-terrorists, usually groups or individuals that are part of the terrorist list here in the United States. Now, as you mentioned, it's not clear the nationalities of these individuals, but the Trump administration continues to insist that this is in line with U.S. national security, and it's going to operate in the Caribbean and in these waters until these drug vessels and these drug boats stop coming to the United States. While we haven't heard officially from the Pentagon, they've been very clear that these operations are continuing. And I think it's important to note that, it just falls in a great line right now. There are many within the president's own party, even Republicans, who are wondering if this is an act of war at this point or not, and whether or not Congress needs to step in and needs congressional approval. But nonetheless, it demonstrates, despite the fact that the U.S. is putting so much assets in the Middle East region to deal with a possible threat from Iran, these strikes in the Caribbean continue.
Recall as well, my Sridhar family, that Trinidad and Tobago is the CARICOM's lead on security. But its Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, has made her country's position absolutely clear.
I told you all before, and I repeat, I cannot stop repeating, some of the other CARICOM countries are not in the position that we are in. They're not so close. Their murder rate, their narco trafficking, human trafficking is not so much. We had over 600 murders in 1 year. We cannot do things the same way and expect things to change. So I remain very committed to the CARICOM. That's where we are sovereign nations. We can differ on certain points. We remain committed to CARICOM unity, but at the same time, Trinidad and Tobago first. Safety and security for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is my priority at this time. So, since the U.S. intervention in the Southern CARICOM and Caribbean, the murder rate has dropped. Not by as much as we wanted to drop, but it has dropped. It has made a significant difference. So I do not regret, and I will continue to support the U.S. intervention in the Southern Caribbean. This intervention can only benefit all of us in the CARICOM. I don't know what is the boogeyman narrative that has been pursued by some persons. What is wrong with having people coming to help us fight against narco trafficking, against human trafficking? Why are you so concerned? Do you have any linkages with the drug cartels? No, we don't. And therefore, I take serious umbrage to some persons with a false narrative about this intervention and what it will do for sovereignty and what will not. What this has to do with sovereignty? What does having these people in the waters of in the South come? How does that affect your sovereignty or my sovereignty? We are still sovereign nations. So I don't see any conflict of interest with Trinidad and Tobago being the lead in the CARICOM for national security. In fact, this is a national security effort that will assist all of us in the CARICOM.
And my Sridhar family, there was a recent strike in the Caribbean, purportedly killing 2 St. Lucia fisher folk on a fishing vessel in waters apparently 5 miles off Beckwith. But this was not confirmed by St. Lucia Prime Minister Philip Pierre.
In this pre-cabinet briefing, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre did not provide confirmation regarding the nationality of the victims.
I can confirm that people lost their lives and the circumstances have got no official notification on the circumstances surrounding the death.
Is it submersions or not?
I can confirm that people lost their lives, but I've got no official notification on anything else.
Meanwhile, my Sridhar family, a warship was seen at anchorage in St. Lucia, believed to be the USS Gerald Ford, that was anchored in the bay over there in St. Lucia. And we believe it has now moved on. But just yesterday, that USS Gerald Ford was anchored in the bay in St. Lucia. And we always provide you the evidence, my Straight Dog family. That's why it's a little slow in coming, but we will always provide you the evidence of this warship over there at Anchorage in St. Lucia. And yes, we do so right now of the USS Gerald Ford, my Straight Dog family. The Gerald Ford, a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, which had been operating in the Caribbean in recent weeks. And this ship was part of a larger military buildup dubbed Operation Southern Spear, though it reportedly left the region last week. I said yesterday, last week, in fact, it should have left the region after an extended deployment. There is the 50th regular meeting, nonetheless, my Straight Dog family, of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, which is a major summit of Caribbean leaders that starts tomorrow right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And no doubt, this matter will be discussed and a CARICOM position arrived, hopefully, and we say hopefully, a Caribbean position will be arrived at as it relates to these killings, as they're called, my Straight Dog family, extrajudicial killings in some cases.
This is a matter for the governments of the Caribbean to take up with the U.S. There's a CARICOM meeting next week in St. Kitts, and I expect that this matter will be raised and discussed, and that out of that will come a CARICOM position to the U.S. on what is happening.
And my Straight Dog family, don't forget as well that the U.S. government also concluded shipwrighter agreements with Caribbean governments, including St. Kitts and Nevis. And these agreements allow for cooperation between the U.S. Coast Guard and Caribbean Coast Guards. It also allows for host nation maritime law enforcement officers to embark aboard U.S. Coast Guard assets during transits of the exclusive economic zones, EEZs, to extend and enforce the sovereign reach of the host nation against illicit maritime activity. The use of force is allowed under specific conditions, but surely not the kind of lethal force we are witnessing of late, my Straight Dog family. Not at all.
Now, this matter of blowing up boats alleged to be boats with drug operators, and you have to have processes. Everybody is innocent until they're proven guilty. You can't just say that these persons are drug traffickers. You don't have any evidence that they're so. You haven't found any drugs. And even if you find drugs in the waters after you blow up the vessel, you can't be judge, jury, and executioner without giving the persons an opportunity to defend themselves in a court of law.
Well, my Straight Dog family, that's all about due process. But that to the United States is academic. However, Principal Deputy Spokesman at the Department of State, Tommy Pigott, informed the media that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as you can glean from your monitors, this was yesterday, announced his arrival. Marco Rubio arrived in St. Kitts Nevis today to participate in the 50th meeting, as mentioned earlier. Secretary Rubio is already in St. Kitts and Nevis and is expected to engage with Caribbean leaders to advance shared priorities, including strengthening regional security, deepening cooperation to combat illegal immigration and illicit trafficking, and promoting economic growth, health, and energy security across the Caribbean. During his visit, the Secretary will no doubt reaffirm the United States' commitment to working with CARICOM and its member states to enhance stability and prosperity in our hemisphere. And we are part, lest we forget, of the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean. So there is unfolding geopolitical drama, and there is a man of war in our harbor. And no matter how the leaders pretend, there is fragmentation and division amongst CARICOM. Not all states align with U.S. priorities or U.S. policies. Some seek neutrality. Friends of all and enemies of none, they claim. Others push for multilateral approaches. And some governments criticize interventions they see as violations of international norms. But the extra-hemispheric influence of China is of grave concern to the Trump administration. And Secretary Rubio will make that absolutely clear, no doubt, to the leaders. The CARICOM alliance with China versus alignment with the United States is one of the most important, strategic questions facing the Caribbean today. CARICOM includes 50 member states, most of which have long historical, economic, and political ties to the United States. My straight dog family, most of them. But China's growing presence has shifted the balance, my straight dog family. China's growing presence has shifted the balance, as you can glean from those members recognizing China. Some 9 members of CARICOM. A smaller group recognizes the Republic of China and Taiwan. But the U.S., my straight dog family, has traditionally been the Caribbean's dominant external partner because of advantages, geographic proximity. The Caribbean is in the U.S. sphere of influence, trade access. Many CARICOM states export heavily to the United States. Tourism. The U.S. is the largest source of visitors. Before COVID, right here in St. Kitts, cruise passengers went in excess of 1 million passengers. Security cooperation, anti-narcotics disaster response, and military training. And how can we forget remittances and diaspora ties? Large Caribbean communities in the United States, St. Kitts Nevis no exception. And while I don't have the St. Kitts Nevis data, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar gave us some insight into the context of Trinidad and Tobago.
Over 350,000 Trinidadians and Tobagonians hold U.S. visas. Why? Because people like to go and visit the United States. Over 350,000 Trinidadians. And they use this visa not to travel once, but they use it multiple times. Several times some people travel. So why are you bad-mouthing the people? You want to go in the people country, but you want to bad-mouth them. Isn't that hypocrisy from some? And careful you don't end up like Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica, who bad-mouthed in the U.S., and guess what happened? All their visas restricted now. They've cut their visas. Which Trini wants to cut their visas? So behave yourself. Understand where our help comes from. Understand who could protect and defend Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, there's only one country in the world can do it. They have the money, they have the equipment, they have the assets. And Trinidad and Tobago first. Over 250,000 Trinis live in the United States. And right here in Trinidad, apart from the 350,000 holding US visas, you have about 20,000 Trinis who are dual citizens, meaning US and...
How many citizens and Namibians? I'm sure well over 60,000. What about Antiguans and Barbudans and Lucians? But programs as well, like the Caribbean Basin Initiative, provide trade benefits for the Caribbean, my straight dog family.
And their concerns about what's happening in our region. And I ask you, let not your hearts be troubled. Do not fear, because Kamala is here. Do not fear. Do not fear. And so while you're worrying about the radar, I want you to know every one of you is on my radar. Every one of you is on my radar because I'm looking out for you. So you worry about radar and you worry about Venezuela. Don't worry. And I'll tell you something, you know. I think it's the height of hypocrisy and unkindness that there are people in our country who want to fight the Americans. Tonight, I say it again, I stand in bilateral relationships with the United States of America. They are amongst our oldest trading partners, one. They are our largest trading partner in terms of millions of dollars trade between us. With Venezuela, we have 0.000 trade. With the United States, Minister of Trade, are you here? Kennedy, you may know. Billions of dollars in trade.
My straight talk family, CARICOM's neutral stance, friends of all and satellites of none, can be viewed as non-committal or even oppositional when Washington demands support against specific threats. Increased U.S. naval and military activity near the Caribbean raises fears of spillover into CARICOM states not aligned with U.S. objectives. Can CARICOM's neutral stance has been effective in maintaining sovereignty and avoiding direct geopolitical confrontation? But it does not guarantee influence over powerful neighbors like the U.S. when they pursue forceful strategies rooted in a reinvigorated Monroe Doctrine and its modern corollary. A U.S. policy becomes more assertive under the Trump administration. The limits of neutrality are increasingly tested, pushing CARICOM nations to rethink how neutrality can be operationalized rather than merely stated. The U.S. blockade of Cuba may do just that in a few weeks, my Stray Dog family, and a test is coming from Russia.
A ship reportedly carrying Russian fuel is on its way to Cuba, a move putting Donald Trump's sanctions to the test as the island nation faces a deepening energy crisis. According to a Bloomberg report, the ship Seahorse is set to arrive in early March, carrying much-needed fuel to Cuba. Cuba is facing the worst energy crisis, falling short of fuel critical for cooking, transportation, and power generation. The available electricity has plummeted since the beginning of the year, and satellite images found the level of power at night down by almost 50%, the report added. The vessel Seahorse received supplies in a ship-to-ship transfer off the coast of Cyprus and is likely carrying nearly 200,000 barrels of Russian gas oil. Gas oil refers to diesel-type fuels used in transportation and power generation. The Bloomberg report said that it was unclear whether the Seahorse will be able to break the American blockade, which has resulted in the seizure of 9 ships involved in the transport of sanctioned oil.
That ship arrives in Cuban waters next week, and we will see how the Trump administration reacts. 9 vessels have already been detained. Why wouldn't the Seahorse be detained with Russian fuel on board? How will the current chairman of CARICOM guide the meeting, we ask, when it comes to deal with Cuba, the nation that molded him into becoming a medical doctor? And has he abandoned his communist orientation? Another issue that will continue to negatively impact U.S. CARICOM relations and the OECS countries within the grouping in particular is the CBI program, which has already come under scrutiny from the Trump administration. In a recent Financial Times publication, under the caption, "The Man Who Saw Too Much," it confirmed that the U.S. criminal investigation in St. Lucia, there will be a U.S. criminal investigation of the CBI in St. Lucia and St. Kitts and Nevis. Someone referred to Martinez as the Elon Musk of the Caribbean, as apart from secret recordings with government officials, he claimed that he successfully subpoenaed the bank accounts of high officials, my Straight Dog family. Martinez did say this.
Early in January, a miracle happened, and my American lawyer, pursuant to the court order that we won in Florida, received all the bank transaction of all these people from Bank of America. I repeat, MSR Media is now in possession of all bank transactions for Caribbean Galaxy, Ying Jing, Denzel Douglas, Timothy Harris, CS Global Partner, Farron Lawrence and his company, Sylvester Anthony.
And my Straight Dog family, Sylvester Anthony, who behaved as if he was Terence Michael Drew's chief of staff when the government changed in 2022 in August, is linked to documents that purport the receipt of US $1.15 million from CS Global, according to records of Aisha Finance, owned by Essex Interactive Limited. And on that number 13 there, you'll see Aisha Finance, my Straight Dog family. But recall, Anthony was summoned by the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions. Adlai Smith was gone rather quiet. But he was summoned for failing to file his assets and liabilities under the IPL, Integrity in Public Life legislation. And Anthony subsequently resigned as chairman of the CIU Board of Governors. But my Straight Dog family, in closing, we ask the question, how many passports have been sold to China? We sell our passports to China, a country that do not allow dual citizenships. So are these new St. Kitts and Nevis citizens from China? Are they citizens or Chinese spies? The U.S. has accused CBI programs of attracting nefarious actors from China, Iran, and other countries. It has argued that such programs should not be a major part of the GDP of small island states because of the potential security challenges they present to the U.S. and regional partners. My Straight Dog family, finally, the USS San Antonio LPD-17 is currently docked at Port Zante, I mentioned earlier. And this is a class vessel, is a San Antonian class amphibious transport dock of the United States Navy. It is designed to carry marines, equipment, and vehicles, and support amphibious landings and helicopter landing craft operations. Why is she in St. Kitts and Nevis? I think most of us know by now. To wit, to send a strong message to CARICOM that the unfolding geopolitical drama in the Caribbean, starting with Venezuela and now Cuba, underscores a long-standing strategic reality. The United States views the Western Hemisphere as central to its national security interest. This visible naval presence in St. Kitts and Nevis signals deterrence, signals influence, and reassurance to CARICOM partners rather than imminent conflict. In today's environment, maritime deployments function as instruments of power, projection, and diplomacy, reminding regional and global actors alike that the Caribbean remains firmly within Washington's strategic calculus. The United States seeks to limit expanding influence from powers such as China and Russia in what it historically considers its strategic neighborhood. And my Straight Dog family, infrastructure investments, port access, and security agreements in small island states are viewed through this competitive lens. The Caribbean includes critical shipping corridors and proximity to energy resources. Instability could affect trade, tourism economies, and U.S. commercial interests. Washington's calculus is about maintaining regional primacy, preventing external powers from gaining strategic footholds, ensuring maritime security, and preserving stability close to U.S. shores. This is less about conquest and more about influence, more about deterrence and control of the strategic environment so as to avoid any unfolding geopolitical drama. Yes, there is a man of war in St. Kitts Harbour. And that's my show tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. But before I do so, I always like to remind you or to implore you that we must respect others. And to achieve that, we must first respect ourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us, my Straight Dog family, say the things that will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, my Straight Dog family, it is 12 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, and we go to the lines and say good night to our first caller. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Liebert.
Good night, my dear. I anticipated this call. My quotationist. I hope I've got it right. Good night. Yes.
The world will not be destroyed.
Not be destroyed.
By those who do evil,
Those who do evil, yes.
but by those who watch them
Those who watch them.
without doing anything.
Without doing anything.
I repeat, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening as well, my Straight Dog family. Always have very interesting quotations. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Interesting perspective. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Patches. Good night.
Night,
and good night to all the listeners. Listening to your commentary, you hit the nail on the head again. It didn't have a chance to be bent. And if I will say, and this is my personal opinion, I will prefer the United States to be the dominants or the dominators of the Caribbean moving forward. We don't need the Russians and we don't need the Chinese. I cannot say any of our citizens on a popular base travel to China, Russia, the Middle East. Very few. But what is the accomplishment to contribute to the Caribbean? I never heard of anything such. The Americas, we receive monies via transactions, Western Union, MoneyGram, and others, too numerous to mention. We get our barrels. We do our trade. We do almost everything from the United States. And the United States is a very, very, very fruitful supporter of the Caribbean. To those who are listening, I don't care what you think of my perspective, but I support the US. Moving forward, I am glad that something as the visit to CARICOM would happen with the Secretary of State. But I would have preferred if CARICOM has their meeting as CARICOM members and then another meeting with Rubio. Because CARICOM has to be together in terms of unity, and whatever America has on their plate, yes, they could present it to the Caribbean, OECS territories moving forward. I would wish Cuba, the embargo on Cuba will be moved because they are humans, and I know Cuba is not creating any havoc in the Caribbean. Right now, to me, they are peaceful. Okay? Another commentary I must make to all those past political leaders who have robbed their citizens of their patrimony. I hope that will be part of the agenda for the Secretary of State to be considered. Time is up. We are ready for you. Our investigation is ongoing. I will leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, my husband, Kalikwan, and good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, my wife. Hope your husband is.
I longing to see you. Okay. I longing to see you, husband. I longing to see you.
Okay, Daddy will be home.
I longing to see you. So, what is the topic tonight? I'm here listening to you. I've just come in, get a little piece of it.
We're talking about the man of war in the Harbour and the unfolding geopolitical drama.
The man of war in the Harbour?
Yes, he didn't come to town?
No, what is it? I am a man of war in the Harbour.
Yes, a man of war
in the Harbour. Mr. Leibert, what I call him to say, right? He have a lot of young man and young lady out there on the street not working. Need school, have they educate the subject, and they're not working. What is this Prime Minister here doing with this country? Think it's neither go neither come. What is he really doing to the young people, them kind of people inside government, place of work, done over 60 at the age and they still a work. And the young people more, they got the subject and the education and they can't get a work. As soon as they reach 61, I have a good friend on old road. As soon as she reach 61, they send a home gate later and he got a load of old people in government to work. Well, one go home. He's supposed to look into that and see that. But think it ain't going nowhere. Think it now move, Mr. Leibert. What are we going to do? How we going to live this kind of life in think it and need this mania? Cost of living get higher and higher. I sent out a message the other day to Jeffrey to tell Jeffrey the care and Montoya there. I hope he don't go and fix the roof or whatever problem they have over there. I hope he don't go to fix it. Because shame on this government. A lot of people disappointed in the Prime Minister here. He used to get it 250, mine. He made people getting the 500 from Timothy Harris. God bless him wherever he be tonight and continue to bless him because who God bless, no man cause. And me know God gonna bless him tonight wherever he be. In his heart, if he listen me, I hear under the voice of me. God gonna continue to bless him and he gonna raise and he gonna come stronger.
Okay.
Anyhow we got the election.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyhow we got it. All the people are not quiet.
Okay. Okay, man. Okay. Okay, got you very much. I got you loud and clear. Remember tonight we're discussing our thesis for tonight, unfolding geopolitical drama, man of war in the Harbour. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
What's on your mind, my brother?
How are you, my wonderful brother?
I am
from
peaceful.
another mother?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I just called you to let you know that we are listening to you and what is going on. We are fully aware with your help and strength that you continue to work for us, and we appreciate you. But let me just say good night to my people, them, and get back to you. Good night to my brother Alvin and his son George Reed and my lovely niece Abigail and my lovely brother there from another mother, Ellis and Adam. And good night, Abigail. My lovely niece in St. Louis and Texas Queen. How are you? Mr. Straight Talk, I was laughing when you said Manawa. Because my father was the one says, boy, they have a Manawa. They say a Manawa in town. No, me say, what you thought? This was when we was growing up. And he said, have a Manawa. We said, what Manawa? And back in the days, you could see ships passing, going like they're going Antigua because we live there. And you see ships going that way, they're going Antigua because the only Antigua they go. Once you go, you head up there, you could see when they just shift from half and go over there. Because no more country over there with Antigua. So you always tell us about Manawa. But I was very strange when my niece tell me that there's this warship in town yesterday morning. Mm-hmm. Now I listened to ZIZ News this morning, but because of what was going on, I couldn't. I didn't hear it say that they had something like that in town. And then to hear you now saying that the secretary is there, and I didn't hear nothing more said about him neither, that he was there. So now I don't have to read it in the news tonight. Understand? But I'm going to listen tomorrow for it to see if they bring it out, because this man is down there and they bring it in the news. Something is not right. So I'm going to listen for good news tomorrow to see if they bring that ship and that Mr. Secretary there to say what went down there. So Mr. Secretary, I mean, straight up. So he's there. His plane is on the airport.
I don't know if his plane is on the airport, but we confirmed he's in St. Kitts. There's a release from the Department of State, so there's no reason.
Yes, because he has a special plane that he's traveling on. Understand? So that's why they ask, well, how this plane reached there, and nobody says that plane is there.
There was a release. There was a release from his office, which says he was going to be in St. Kitts for the CARICOM meeting. I did actually put up that release from his office. So
yes, you did. But I was just saying that because that plane, when it bring him, he parks somewhere and he stays there until he's ready to go back on it. I don't know if he comes on the ship and then he just they just take him up. Because this whole thing.
The secretary won't travel on the ship. I'm saying that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He would. But it was strange because they're supposed to say, well, this U.S. secretary is in St. Kitts, and that's it. But me not hear nothing, so me have to go back over it very well to listen again for tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
So, Mr. Strater, the Caribbean need a wake-up call. Understand? Just like I don't really support Mr. Welcome. I just listen because of who he is. But when he said what he had to say tonight, I strongly agree with that. And especially with Trinidad Prime Minister, that we are hypocrites. We are hypocrites, that's all we are. Because the thing that America do for us, we turn back to say, we just want to, you see, that's all what's wrong with people. It doesn't matter who, look how Joe got St. Kitts and nobody crucify him. But as soon as Timothy go in there, they start with, oh, he not did this, that. I same thing with the US. Everybody crucify the Trump and things are go good. But you can't tell them that they know for themselves. But they just want to give you a run for your money. And I ain't intend to let no man give me a run for my money. I know who I am and I know where I want to go. Mr. Strater, I think I tarry long enough. Just continue to do what you got to do. Understand? We are listening to you and we are there for you. We've been together for a long while and we're going to continue as long as there's a Strater. We're going to stand up with you. So you just continue to do your best. Till we see you when we see you. See you when I see you. See you soon. Abracadabra.
Yes, my brother. From another mother. And let me just take this email before I take this other call. Be with me, callers, if you may. I think this email is important in that it gives me a correction. And it reads, and I quote Patch's excellent program, as usual. The U.S. warship in St. Lucia is not the USS Gerald Ford. It's another ship. The Gerald Ford ship is currently in the Mediterranean Sea, ready for the operations in Iran. Following the strike near St. Vincent and the Grenadines, U.S. $500 million worth of cocaine was discovered on the shore of St. Vincent. Fishermen asked the question. Yes, that's something I overlooked, but thanks for that information, caller. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Jude. Good night, Ian Patty's live, but good night.
Always Mr. Politics. Good night, sir.
Yeah, first I also want to give God thanks for life. To a blessed country. But you know, that is the people. It ain't the country, it's the people. And I want to give thanks to you and Straight Talk to come on Mondays and Thursday and enlighten the Federation with what's going on in this country. Because Patches, it seems to me like all the US media them gone silent. And only Straight Talk, we can come and put our grievance to the nation and to those in diaspora who listen to this program. Straight talk. Because when the unity government was in, all kind of radio station, when unity was trying to help the people in whatever they can help them, putting on the house roof, give them the $500 to help the minimum wage, and all kind of different things was going on. Good things was going on. People was lambasting the unity on different radio station and different social media. That is, you ain't hear nothing now. Everybody they got muzzle on them more. They got silent with what's going on now in this country. That is, me understand with the man who come here for, where really the duty here for in the Federation in St. Lucia. Whether could you mean because crime is going on and like what? That is, you could give me a little highlight on that.
Well, the U.S. is increasing its presence in the Western Hemisphere, in the area which includes the Caribbean, South and Central America. I mean, you've seen all the narco traffic attempts to eradicate drug trafficking in the region. So it's part of the U.S. Security enhancement. It's just that it has stepped it up somewhat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that is. Well, I'm going to get a little input on my behalf of this situation with me. Yeah. And this government we're in.
Make it quick.
Now, Patrice.
Make it quick.
Yeah, you're going to make it quick, Patrice. Yeah. Patrice, yeah. I get a job under the Unity administration to work at the Cotton Farmer School as a security. Well, I was in Cotton Farmer School working for a few years. Working. Well, Bunchwell School, you are a security. So the lady in the ministry called me, tell me that. I just support, she made to understand, I just support the Bunchwell School very good from Cincinnati. And they want an security down there. So she asked me if I was glad to go to the Bunchwell School, when they took me home and I got to get the bus. I said, sure, I was glad to go down there because I would like to interact with the people and whatever. But Patrick, I was there for maybe about a year and a half. And Patrick, I don't know what I do in ministry and the principle was there. Because sometimes when I and me work, sometimes the principle come back and, you know, like she coping. Patrick, I am a man work, support that Bunchwell School from Cincinnati. A butcher goat, a butcher sheep, a butcher pig. Sometimes I give them a whole thing, a whole animal when they got the function or whatever.
Okay.
And since that, Patrick, is there something?
Yeah, I'll try to get to wrap. I got my phones.
Yes. Patrick, I'm going to be quick. I just want to get this out. Patrick, they put me for retirement the last December gone. And Patrick, let me tell you something. They give me $2,000 for the 8 years of work. I went back to the checks to HR. The lady told me that I may work the 10 years. Well, I put it to the people in the community and farmer teachers. They said, the politics, they could have worked the 10 years and give you gratuity. They could have worked because you support the school. And Pat is saying this today that somebody there working at the school about 74 years. Working at this same school 74 years. So these wicked, evil, demonic people we got in serving us as government. Patches, I want them to know that everybody turn don't come alive. You know, everybody turn don't come alive. I'm not before time, Patches. But I will continue to support the Bunchwell School as long as they let me support the school. Because Patches right now, they're going to get they're going to get the sports there, and they are sending a letter to me to a donation. And Patrick, nothing like that. They said nothing.
Okay.
So Patrick, I just want to get this because only shit that I could put over this thing.
Okay, you made your point of politics.
All right, then, Patrick. Okay.
Empathize with you. It's about 6 minutes I gave you to make that point, and we empathize with you. But we go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Yes, good night, Mr. Liver.
Good night, sir.
We're hearing that the U.S. are ramping up all these things in the Caribbean to protect people from transporting drugs into the U.S. or shipping drugs into the U.S. But what about all these guns that come from the U.S. to the Caribbean? The operation is also to stop the guns from coming out of the U.S. into the Caribbean? Because the same guns that they're accusing these drug lords and things to be using and killing the people with, and the cocaine, or to protect the cocaine, is the guns that come from the U.S. So are the U.S. going to stop this selling of guns or the transmitting of guns to the Caribbean and the Central America countries? This is what I think. That is what he should be. Marco Rubio, that is what Marco Rubio should be down here saying to the CARICOM leaders, that first we're going to stop the guns coming out of America to the Caribbean, and then we're going to stop the so-called cocaine coming into America.
Okay.
Okay,
my brother, got your point. Yes, we don't manufacture guns, and I believe that the countries collaborate in terms of that. Whether it is working is the other question. But the reintroduction of the Monroe Doctrine as it relates to the extra hemispheric influence of China is of great concern to the U.S. administration, and Secretary Rubio will make that, no doubt, absolutely clear to the leaders. There's a CARICOM alliance with China. There's also being looked at versus the alignment with the United States, which is one of the most important strategic questions facing the Caribbean today. That's what the geopolitics we are talking about. And I did mention that there are CARICOM members that recognize China. Some 9 members of the CARICOM grouping do in fact recognize China and have diplomatic relations with China, which I did post on your screens. Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. The U.S. has traditionally been the Caribbean's dominant external partner because of advantages like proximity. The Caribbean is in the U.S. sphere of influence. Other countries recognize the Republic of China and Taiwan. And you can see Belize, Haiti, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But my Street Dog family, the trade access, you've heard, I did play before the views of Kamala Prasad in terms of bilateral trade. And Trinidad and Tobago said this. It's not necessarily our position, but she said this.
And your concerns about what's happening in our region. And I ask you, let not your hearts be troubled. Do not fear, because Kamala is here. Do not fear. Do not fear. And so while you're worrying about the radar, I want you to know every one of you is on my radar. Every one of you is on my radar because I'm looking out for you. So you worry about radar and you worry about Venezuela. Don't worry. And I'll tell you something, I think it's the height of hypocrisy and unkindness that there are people in our country who want to fight the Americans. Tonight, I say it again, I stand in bilateral relationships with the United States of America. They are amongst our oldest trading partners, one. They are our largest trading partner in terms of millions of dollars trade between us. With Venezuela, we have 0.000 trade. With the United States, Minister of Trade, are you here? Kennedy, you may know. Billions of dollars in trade.
And my Shetland family, ironically, Trinidad and Tobago, the lead, CARICOM lead on security matters. So it's a very interesting meeting, no doubt we'll have starting tomorrow. But our quotation for tonight, very interesting one, as usual, from across the Narrows in Nevis. The whole world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. And as we look at the role that's been played by the United States of America, and in an editorial that I advanced earlier, for those who may have just joined me, come from the Voice of East, an editorial written by one Andrew Koribko, who wrote that the grand strategic goal is to restore the US's central role in the global system. But if that is not possible and it loses control of the Eastern Hemisphere to China, then Plan B is to retreat to the Western Hemisphere. That covers us, my Straight Talk family. And this new national security strategy reconceptualizes, narrows, and reprioritizes U.S. interests. And according to Koribko, focus is placed on the primacy of nations over transnational organizations, preserving the balance of power through optimized burden sharing and the US's reindustrialization that will be facilitated by securing critical supply chains. And the Western Hemisphere, which includes North, South, and Central America, and the Caribbean islands, is the top priority to the U.S. And that's what we must understand when asked about the warships. I call it man of wars, we call it small days. But the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine is the centerpiece to the United States national security strategy and seeks to deny what it calls non-hemispheric competitor ownership or control of strategically vital assets, in an allusion to China's influence over the Panama Canal. It is a 21st century update of the Monroe Doctrine that places the Western Hemisphere at the center now of the U.S. strategy, especially toward preventing external powers from gaining influence. And that's what it is, my Straight Talk family. Yes, someone raised the issue of guns. Very important point made. Then we need to collaborate to ensure that they don't get to our country. But why are our borders so porous? Why? They come through the customs. Are they doing their due diligence? They come straight through the customs. They don't come on the boats. They come right to packages in the customs. And these are issues that must be addressed and addressed head on by the Straight Talk family. As we foresee the first region becoming a source of investment and destination of such, while the second ties with the U.S. will transition from a foreign aid paradigm to an investment and growth one centered on selected partners, my Straight Talk family. It's 9:44. We go to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patches. Good evening, man. How you doing tonight, man?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good evening to you and the listeners. You remember? I think there was a song when it was a little boy. Manawa, Manawa, Manawa in the harbor. Manawa, Manawa, Manawa in the harbor. Yeah, Patches, man. I thought you meant I had Rubio on tonight, man. You got at least one more night, all right, to get him on. Let him face the SKN citizens. That we can drop some. Yeah, Marco Rubio, man. You know, come on, man. You at least got to treat the guy out to dinner, man, before he leaves, man.
Okay, security is tight, man.
Yeah,
security is tight.
Security tight, man. Yes. Tight, man. Tight like your Sunday shoes, huh?
Yes.
But anyway, man, a lot to unpack.
Yes.
It's so ironic that now little Sinkis and Nevis is cast in the big spotlight. Yeah, big up to Kalanja, man. A lot of his utterances over the years, now we're seeing them come into fruition. We just got to pay attention. I make some calls down to Sinkis Nevis specifically. Yesterday. No one said that they see that ship in the harbor. It's already there. You know, we're sleeping, man. We got to wake up. You know, people in the USA knows that there's a ship in the harbor in Sinkis before people underground. You know, that's what happens when you're paying close attention. You know, I seen reports saying the Trinidad Prime Minister is going to be up there. Rubio is there. So the three people I'm keeping my eyes on, the Prime Minister, Sinkis Nevis, Marco Rubio himself, Trinidad Prime Minister. So much to unpack, Patches, man. But I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing is this. The leaders, not only from the Caribbean, but we are specifically talking about the Caribbean leaders tonight. They go up to the UN every year, and you hear them when they hit the podium. Remove the embargo off of Cuba. But America now turned up the pressure on Cuba. And we are not seeing them. They're silent. They're not agitating for Cuba enough, in my humble opinion. I'm just waiting and watching to see if they're going to desert Cuba in their desperate time of need. With all that help that Cuba gave the Caribbean region, they need to be agitating for Cuba much more. Man, we in Sinkis Nevis be complaining about being to be self-sufficient in food. We seeing and watching what's going on in the Caribbean. How they can turn the switch on and off whenever they feel like. Man, when they turn that switch off on us and they stop them boats from coming in with the food, we will just think SKN and starve. The battle of the visas is in effect. Patches, what it is going to do for the Caribbean leaders not to stand up to USA. Because the two things, one of the things that they already done, they put the brakes on the visas already. We seen what they're doing. We seen what the USA is doing. They already put the freeze on the visas. And now they're killing our citizens. So what is going to take our leaders to stand up to Marco Rubio this week here? All we need is to speak as one voice, as a bloc, and we need the Caribbean CARICOM unity. And lastly for me, Patches, question. Patches, what became of SILAC? You still there, Patches?
Yeah, yes, I'm listening to you. SILAC meets SILAC. Yeah, Latin American, yeah, but it still exists. Yes, I said SILAC still exists. I did have SILAC is different. SILAC, all members are not members of SILAC. All of that attend the meetings. We are members of ECLAC. I said we
became a SILAC, and I'll leave it there.
I'm saying to you that SILAC, don't get mixed up with SILAC and ECLAC, right? SILAC are a different group of nations. Most of our Caribbean are with ECLAC, you know. So please don't mix them up. But they're both there. Yeah. Although some countries go attend these meetings, but attend the meetings as SILAC observers and not necessarily members, you know. But don't lose sight.
SILAC.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. But SILAC is a regional bloc, though, right? Between the Caribbean and Latin American states, right?
Yes, Caribbean, but all members of CARICOM are not members of SILAC. Right? Most may be members of ECLAC. This is a different grouping.
Yeah, got you. But,
yeah.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, I was just trying to question out there, but SILAC got, what, 32, 33, something like that, members?
But they're mostly Central and Latin American, you know.
America, yeah, got you, yeah, got you, okay. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll leave it there, man. I got like a little bit disconnected there, but thanks a lot, man.
That was my bad. That was my bad.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem at all, man. Great show like usual, and keep up the good works. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, my brother. You're
welcome. Thanks.
There's the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, I think it is called. That's SILAC. But it is yes, you're right, it's a block of some over 32 or 33 nations. But there's also the ECLAC, which is the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. And that is a regional commission connected to the United Nations. But I'm not certain how many CARICOM members are members of SILAC. I know, although some attend the meetings as observers. I stand to be corrected, but you're so right. But let's not lose sight of the fact that tomorrow, I believe that Rubio will be addressing the opening plenary session of the CARICOM meeting. And obviously will hold meetings with regional leaders. But according to the United States, the Rubio's presence is to reflect the shared priorities the United States want to advance with Caribbean governments, including the strengthening of regional security cooperation, combating illegal immigration and illicit trafficking, and of course promoting economic growth, health initiatives, and energy security. Energy security is at the top of the pile. And you know why energy security is important. But it's also an attempt to reaffirmed Washington's commitment to stability and prosperity across the Western Hemisphere. Yes, there's the Washington would want to reassert influence in the Caribbean because there's a lot of global geopolitical competition, including Cuba and China right here in the Western Hemisphere. So Rubio's trip comes while the U.S. has increasing pressure on Cuba and managing fallout from its recent action in Venezuela. And that matters, or those matters, are the ones that would resonate at the meeting as it does in the region. But CARICOM has historically been a platform where regional leaders have sometimes taken positions independent of Washington, including the strong ties with Cuba. But Rubio's high-level attendance marks a notable moment of direct management by the U.S. in a forum that is central to Caribbean regional cooperation. And that's what it is. Rubio will flex his muscle, of course, and no matter what we say, we can say all sorts of things, but the U.S. are not going to let any body from outside the hemisphere control their backyard. If that's a word I should use, I'll take that back, but control the environment in which we all live, my Straight Dog family. It's 5 before the 10 o'clock hour. I'll take perhaps a few more calls. And for those who may have joined me for the first time, remember that Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Baptist, good night.
Good night, Mr. Bibleman. How art thou? You just woke up?
No, I was listening to you all the time, you know.
Oh, you listen to me all the time?
Yeah, so, I could have done cutting, but I say I give you a chance.
So you have your Bible verses ready for me?
Yeah, I did it. Now, in Daniel chapter, I believe Daniel 4 or 5, there was a king. I'm going to give you this and then I'll give you the scripture after with the Psalms. That is, God set up a king, and the king do all the right. And when he went to sleep, he get up and then he see a handwriting was on the wall. And then all of a sudden he wanted to know what the handwriting for. When he called him and them, they couldn't. Then he went to Daniel. And Daniel interpret the handwriting. And the word of God says, name and I know. They are way in the balancing and found wanting. Listen, I want to give you that one. I'll give you back to the scripture now. Psalm 41. Blessed is the man that considereth the poor. That's your favorite. In the time of trouble, he shall deliver him. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High
shall abide
in the shadow of thy mighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress. In God will I trust. Surely he shall deliver me from the nails of the fowler and from the noise of the pestilence. He shall hold with his feathers. Under his wings thou trust. His truth shall be my shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night,
Now the hours deployed by them. That is, God is a wonderful God. You hear?
All the time.
What happened is, they say, what happened in the dark come out in the light.
True.
And you ever heard that I saying go, moon run till they come. Well, you don't know when you're so fatigued, but I get I come and I hear and I look up in the sky and really what they say it happens because when the moon come up and the day gets the moon. So Patrick, good night. Have a pleasant night, rest, and see you by the help of the Lord. Have a pleasant night, Mr. Patrick. Bye.
Have a pleasant night as well, my dear brother. And thank you, as usual, for your spiritual interventions. They mean so much to all of us. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, your line. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good night again, Mr. Leiber. Mr. Passad, in the clip that you played with Ms. Passad, right? She talks about people being hypocrites to the U.S., right? And how could you be so hypocritical and hypocrites to the U.S. and they would have done so much in that? But isn't Trinidad and she being hypocrites to China when they have strong relations with China? Isn't she being a hypocrite? And if you're doing any business, you're getting any stuff out of China, Mr. Leiber. There's only two countries in the East, in the two English-speaking countries in the Caribbean that both go to bring cargo to and take cargo from the Caribbean to China is Jamaica and Trinidad. Isn't she being a hypocrite? And isn't Trinidad being a hypocrite? When these leaders speak, man, they must remember everything and not some, not what they want to tell us. But they must tell us, they must say everything that they're involved in. Trinidad is heavily involved with China. So how come she's not being a hypocrite and Trinidad is not being a hypocrite to China? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Let's go back. Let's go back to the lines. Okay, we've lost a caller. But the U.S., as we going to wind on our program for tonight, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I can say again. I would like to know if America really have any use for this small Caribbean country down here. The reason for me to say this, Patrick, Cuba were helping us in medicine. And our young people going to Cuba go train for doctors, maybe lawyer, whatever. I want to know, and they can Cuba like that. Patrick, I really want to have America really that any use for this Caribbean country down in Patrick. Because let me tell you something, Patrick. Look what they do with Caribbean people, with immigrants who live in America, who don't put in so much in America. Who don't do all the kind of things, they still call them illegal immigrants. Some of them don't been home, some of them got family, and they send back to these small Caribbean islands. So I really want to know if America gets any use for our small Caribbean people down here. You Patrick, what people jump on a plane, go to Africa, and find the money, and to go to America. Because about the concern, this man want to cut us on the sanction all the time. You want to get our small country on the sanction. Can't talk a call to meet a friend. When they don't stop the guns from coming into the Caribbean, these small countries, and getting these young men and kill one another. Why they don't stop that? Is democracy the problem going on in this small Caribbean country? Is them causing the problem because is them manufactured gun manufactured gun in the Caribbean? And in fact, it's have a wonderful and they have the straight talk and continue to do the good works. Keep it up. This is what we want.
Okay, man. Thanks a lot, my dear brother. As we are on the downhill side of Street Talk for tonight, we made mention of the recent strike in the Caribbean, purportedly killing 2 St. Lucia fisher folk or fishermen on a fishing vessel in waters apparently just 5 miles off Beckwith. Now, no doubt the issues as it relates to the lethal force used by the United States in going after narcotic drug traffickers. Former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, now opposition leader in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez, said this, very interesting.
Now, this matter of blowing up boats, alleged to be boats with drug operators, and you have to have processes. Everybody is innocent until they're proven guilty. You can't just say that these persons are drug traffickers. You don't have any evidence that they're so. You haven't found any drugs. And even if you find drugs in the waters after you blow up the vessel, you can't be judge, jury, and executioner without giving the persons an opportunity to defend themselves in a court of law.
And, my Street Talk family, we may want to say that's academic because the U.S. have taken their position and it's left for the CARICOM heads, our leaders, to have discussions with Rubio and see how that issue can be sorted out. At 10 o'clock hour, I'll take about 2 more calls. This is my penultimate call. Calling you live.
Yeah, Patches, let me get back in real quickly. You know something, man? On the real to real, because of the fact that we haven't seen a Secretary of State in St. Kitts and Nevis. I can't remember. I seen one. So because he's there this time, I'll just say welcome him to SKN, and I hope he enjoys his stay. And let me start off the questions to him tonight directly. Number 1, did he bring any aid packages down for us Caribbean? And number 2, if he's concerned about forming any partnerships, being that this is a diplomacy and a diplomatic meetings. Or lastly, did he just come down with his briefcase full of demands? And I'll leave it there, man. You guys have a good night, and I hope he enjoys his stay in SKN. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for your questions, and I don't think it can be disputed, nonetheless, that the U.S. has traditionally been the Caribbean's dominant external partner because of advantages like geographic proximity. We are in the U.S. sphere of influence, trade access. In St. Kitts, our tourism. Where do you think the passengers come from? The U.S. Before COVID, we had in excess of 1 million passengers. The majority come from the U.S. hear me what I tell you. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Mr. Patches, greetings.
Greetings, my brother. How about thou?
I'm very good. What about you?
Oh, I am peaceful. I am peaceful.
Very interesting program.
Thank you.
And it's good that the Secretary of State is here in our federation. And it's good they're having this CARICOM summit meeting. So, whatever problems the people of the Caribbean face, they have to put it to the Marco Rubio. They have him right in the presence. And I mean, I call all tonight, touch it, that the opening the CARICOM summit, Marco going to make his presence felt. But it would have been really collective for the CARICOM leaders to have the arrangement topics to what they would put to the Secretary of State on behalf of the people. The Caribbean leaders having their own ideology, political ideology, but when it comes around managing the people interests, they have to put that first and leave the ideology behind, because the Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, she makes some important points. She didn't deny the fact that she's not trading with China. She just make the point that the majority of the business comes from America. So why back talk? Who feeding you? When you're going to criticize America, you just got to know how to criticize America. You just got to stand up the game, because it's on behalf of your people. Mr. Patrick, you continue to stand firm, stay strong, stay healthy. God bless.
God bless you as well, my brother.
Thank you.
Very good way to end tonight's programming with that final call for tonight. And it's very interesting. You raised that point made by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, because it's all about trade. It's all about bilateral arrangements, and just like Trinidad and Tobago, so too China wants to trade, because China wants to get into the region, and all the US is saying that they are going to do things a certain way. I'm trying to find that video from Kamala Prasad. She speaks about the issues of trade with Trinidad and Tobago. And she even spoke about her people. Some 250,000 Trinidadians and Tobagonians, I think it's called, that actually live in the United States. And she said this.
Over 350,000 Trinidadians and Tobagonians hold U.S. visas. Why? Because people like to go and visit the United States. Over 350,000 Trinis. And they use this visa not to travel once, but they use it multiple times. Several times some people travel. So why are you bad-mouthing the people? You want to go in the people's country, but you want to bad-mouth them. Isn't that hypocrisy from some? And careful you don't end up like Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica, who bad-mouthed in the US, and guess what happened? All their visas restricted now. They've cut their visas. Which Trini wants to cut their visas? So behave yourself. Understand where our help comes from. Understand who could protect and defend Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, there's only one country in the world can do it. They have the money, they have the equipment, they have the assets. and Trinidad and Tobago first. Over 250,000 Trinis live in the United States. And right here in Trinidad, apart from the 350,000 holding US visas, you have about 20,000 Trinis who are dual citizens, meaning US and.
So how many Kitishans and Nevisians live in the United States? How many have visas? But CARICOM's neutral stance, I'm going to end here. Friends of all and satellites of none can be viewed as non-committal or even oppositional when Washington demands support against specific threats. Increased U.S. naval and military activity near the Caribbean raises fears of spillover into CARICOM states, not aligned with U.S. objectives. Can CARICOM's neutral stance remain effective in maintaining sovereignty and avoiding direct geopolitical confrontation? But it does not guarantee influence over powerful neighbors like the US. They are powerful. We must accept that. When they pursue forceful strategies rooted in the reinvigorated Monroe Doctrine and its modern corollary. As US policy becomes more assertive under the Trump administration, the limits of neutrality are increasingly tested, pushing CARICOM nations to rethink how neutrality can be operationalized rather than merely mentioned or stated. The US blockade of Cuba may do just that in a few weeks. And there's a test coming up with this Russian vessel heading to Cuba.
A ship reportedly carrying Russian fuel is on its way to Cuba, a move putting Donald Trump's sanctions to the test as the island nation faces a deepening energy crisis. According to a Bloomberg report, the ship Seahorse is set to arrive in early March, carrying much-needed fuel to Cuba. Cuba is facing the worst energy crisis, falling short of fuel critical for cooking, transportation, and power generation. The available electricity has plummeted since the beginning of the year, and satellite images found the level of power at night down by almost 50%, the report added.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, as we wrap tonight's programming, the other issue that will continue to negatively impact U.S. CARICOM relations and the OECS countries in particular within the grouping is our CBI program. Let's not forget that, which has already come under scrutiny from the Trump administration. And I told you about that recent Financial Times publication, which we will address fully on another program. But the caption, "The man who saw too much," and this article confirms that the U.S. criminal investigation of the CBI in St. Lucia and St. Kitts and Nevis will be coming, and coming soon, my Straight Talk family. But we ask the question, how many passports have we sold to China? Are these citizens or Chinese spies? The U.S. has accused CBI programs of attracting nefarious actors from China, Iran, and other countries. It is argued that such programs should not be a major part of GDP of small island states because of the potential security challenges they present to the U.S. and regional partners. Finally, my Straight Talk family, the USS San Antonio recently docked, or presently docked, I should say, at Port Zante. It's designed to carry marines, equipment, and vehicles and support amphibious landings and helicopter landing craft operations. We ask, why is she in St. Kitts Nevis? I think most of us know by now, just to send a strong message to CARICOM that the unfolding geopolitical drama in the Caribbean that started with Venezuela and now Cuba underscores a long-standing strategic reality. To wit, the United States views the Western Hemisphere as central to its national security interests. This visible naval presence in St. Kitts Nevis signals deterrence, influence, and the reassurance to CARICOM partners rather than imminent conflict. In today's environment, maritime deployments function as instruments of power projection and diplomacy, reminding regional and global actors alike that the Caribbean remains firmly within Washington's strategic calculus. The United States seeks to limit expanding influence from powers such as China and Russia in what is historically considered its strategic neighborhood. Infrastructure investments, port access, and security agreements in small island states are viewed through this competitive lens. The Caribbean includes critical shipping corridors and proximity to energy resources. Instability could affect trade, tourism economies, and U.S. commercial interests. So Washington's calculus is about maintaining regional primacy, preventing external powers from gaining strategic footholds, and ensuring maritime security and preserving stability close to U.S. shores. It is less about conquest and more about influence, deterrence, and control of the strategic environment so as to avoid any unfolding geopolitical drama. And yes, because there's a man of war in St. Kitts Harbour. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank all those who viewed our program tonight, beg your pardon. Those who called, those who sent emails. I want to assure you that you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk, remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday. Until we connect on Thursday, my Straight Talk family.
Wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and love to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day. My guardian to keep and my guide, over every step I take, He will preside. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Now I'm on my way, with strength and courage from above. No man I'll fear, since God protects me with His love. Strong, pure and true, and so sincere, 'cause my knees I'll always stay to the Lord in prayer. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow.